I admitted I've never played any games in the Shining series before. Hey, I'm just as surprised as you considering how many games have released since 1991. Well, I'm glad I finally jumped in. Let's see why. I'm Adam Scott, and this is Shining Resonance Refrain. The Shining series is a long-running franchise published by Sega consisting of different RPG types, from dungeon crawlers to strategy, tactical, and action RPGs. Similar to Final Fantasy, each game in the Shining series has a standalone story, letting you jump into any entry without needing hours of lore to catch up. After nearly a decade, the Shining series returned with Shining Resonance, the 34th entry in the series, released only on PS3 and exclusive to Japan in 2014. Shining Resonance Refrain is an enhanced remaster of Shining Resonance, which was localized for Western audiences and released in 2018 for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Not only have the visuals been beefed up, but there are a number of enhancements that make this the definitive version to play. Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Since time immemorial, the high elves of this island lived in peace with dragons, using mystic rune songs to commune with their mighty allies.
Shining Resonance is set in Astoria, a small kingdom populated with humans and elves, but was once also home to dragons. Generations ago, a brutal war was waged between the dragons and an invading deity called Deus. Through this, countless lives were lost, and while the Shining Dragon was eventually able to seal Deus away, it was at the cost of all dragons. Fast forward to the present day, and the world's at war once again, only now it's a war between the Kingdom of Astoria and the Empire. Okay, you've got the stakes. From here, the game throws you into the role of Yuma, a guy who just so happens to have the soul of the Shining Dragon within him. The Empire captures Yuma, wanting to use his powers against Astoria. That is until Sonia, the Princess of Astoria, launches a rescue mission. Once Yuma learns of Astoria's plight, he decides to help. From here, the adventure begins, introducing you to new characters at a breakneck pace. They're more or less what you'd expect with elves, knights, sorcerers, and the like. It won't take you long to fill in your JRPG bingo cards. A reluctant hero with amnesia afraid to use his godlike powers. A hot-headed warrior princess with a soft spot for helping the weak. A comically evil villain with a fondness for torture. It's all there. Just about every possible JRPG trope you could think of is present and accounted for. Now, this doesn't mean it's bad, just don't be surprised if you're never surprised by the story or the characters. Twists are often blatantly telegraphed, so it's best you just go with it. The paint-by-numbers story is propped up by fantastic localization by Atlas USA. The writing is clever, poignant, and really funny at times. This is particularly effective through the more quiet moments when the characters develop their connections with each other. That sneaky feeling that you've seen and done this before is carried through to the gameplay. Right off the bat, I got serious Tales of vibes. From the interconnected zones to the feel of the action combat, and heck, even the visuals are very Tales of. I mean, come on, Yuma looks like Alphen, and Kirika and Shion could be sisters. Look, I love the Tales of games, and while it's not a complete copy and paste, it's very familiar. The core gameplay loop sees you talking to the locals, taking on missions, and ultimately driving back the threat of the Empire. I've heard some criticize the game's slow start, but for me the pacing felt about right. Marga, the capital city in Astoria, acts as your base of operations. From here, you'll adventure out into the wider world, made up of interconnected zones, which will require some trekking back and forth as you venture further into the world. There's a great blend of combat, exploration, and world building, never having you do one thing for too long. As you venture outside the city, all manner of creatures roam the fields, mountains, and caves of the world. Running into an enemy, or when triggering specific events, will cause combat to start. A circle wraps the battlefield as additional opponents wander in. You control one of the 4 characters in combat, which can be changed at any time in the pause menu, with the other 3 controlled by AI. You can set overarching strategies for all AI characters, or provide specific instructions for individual characters. Each character brings their own strengths, weaknesses, and unique abilities to the mix, so it's key to find the right balance against the many varied enemies. Attacks are served up through standard, strong, and magical damage. Action points are essentially your stamina, and is indicated by an arc around your controlled character. Basic and heavy attacks, dodging, and blocks all use AP. Depleting the AP gauge will prevent you from taking actions, so it's important to monitor this gauge. Stringing together combos with strong and weak attacks, dodges, and blocks are all fun enough, but the depth comes from the force abilities. These are the special abilities that are unique to each character. Forces can be swapped in and out as you like, with characters learning new skills as they level up. I really enjoyed balancing the team by changing up the forces for each character. Many RPGs stumble over similar systems, but Refrain never becomes a chore. Everything is thoughtfully presented through clear menus, and gradually upgrading and refining your party is always a highlight. Much like the combat, it's all very accessible, but there's a good amount of depth to explore if you're up to it. Early on, Yuma gains access to the unique ability to transform into the Shining Dragon. It's almost like a summon, making you considerably more powerful, but at a cost. Instead of action points, every action in the dragon form depletes magic points. Once the MP bar is low enough, he'll go berserk, attacking allies and foes indiscriminately. It's a nice balancing act where you can't rely too heavily on the otherwise overpowered dragon form. Later on, you'll gain access to a team-based attack called B.A.N.D, which ties nicely into the game's overall music theme. Each character wields a weapon called an harmonic that resembles musical instruments, like an electric guitar that doubles as a battle axe. As you fight, you fill up the special gauge called the Battle Performance Mana, or BPM. Once filled, the team can use their instruments in concert to cast a team buff. This will do things like boosting critical hit rates or physical attack damage. Which effect you get is determined by who you set as the center character in the setup menu. Though it can seem rather overpowered at times, B.A.N.D is an awesome inclusion to the combat system that helps break up the repetition a bit, while offering more strategic options for harder battles. But wait, there's more. At any time during combat, an ally may trigger resonance to offer support in various ways. The stronger the bond with a character, the more likely they are to resonate with you. Outside of battle, you can interact with the other characters to develop their relationships. The best opportunities to strengthen bonds is through the night events. During your journey out in the field, you'll come across bonfires. These not only give you a chance to rest up and perform alchemy, but you can also invite a party member to spend time with you so you can get closer. Aside from further strengthening your bond, this also adds a great layer of character development. Refrain takes an interesting approach to character progression, offering up a slightly more dynamic means than just increasing levels. Each character's harmonic can be tuned, which levels separately from the character, and each tuning gives buffs to different stats that increase along with the tuning level. On top of this, tunings each have skills attached to them, such as faster attack speeds or deeper MP pool, that type of thing, which gives some strategic variety. Do you keep a character using a specific tuning power and power it up considerably, or do you swap them out and take advantage of the different skills they possess? The tuning system helps to elevate character progression, offering you the chance to mold and shape your team how you want. In terms of presentation, I really dug the cel-shaded anime visuals, which tend to hold up better than a more photorealistic style. Everything is bright and colorful, with an impressively varied palette to match the equally colorful characters. Tony Taka's character designs are very detailed, expressive, and well animated. However, it's clear the game was born on the PS3, with the flat and simple world design. Compared to the verticality and depth of the worlds in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or Ys 8, Refrain's world feels decidedly more basic. It's pretty enough with cool details like towering cliff faces or a thick canopy of trees, but it's mostly window dressing. The music does a solid job of setting the tone for each scene, but is oddly forgettable considering music is a central theme of the game. It's not bad, mind you, it's just a missed opportunity. On the other hand, the voice acting is consistently strong throughout, with some great performances. Some talent returns from previous Shining titles, including voice actors Nana Mizuki and Soichiro Hoshi, and music composers from the group Elements Garden.
Care to explain yourself and show some respect? I'll not tolerate your lip in the presence of Her Highness.
Already crawling up my back, Georg? I'm not gonna be rude. Promise.
As an enhanced re-release for the West, Refrain comes with a wealth of additions, including the titular Refrain mode, which takes a non-canon what-if approach where two key villains join the team. Since the story doesn't change, it can be a bit awkward to have these characters in your party during specific story moments, but it's still a cool option. The original Shining Resonance had an eye-watering 150 distinct pieces of DLC, all of which have been included in this package. There are tons of character costumes. Now you know I love me some costumes, and it was a great touch that any changes are reflected in the cutscenes. There's also a fairly sizable side mode that lets you explore optional dungeons for exclusive loot and enemy encounters. There's no shortage of content in the base game as is, but the integration of all the DLC makes this an incredible value. For completionists, you'll have a decision to make before starting the game. You can get most trophies in any mode, but there are two that are only available in Refrain mode. So, you'll have to decide whether you're open to playing through the game twice, but getting a more logical story on the first playthrough, or getting everything in a single playthrough in Refrain mode, but knowing some story moments may be awkward with the two additional characters in your party. Plan for about 35 hours to do everything starting in Refrain mode, or closer to 50 hours if you play through both. On the surface, Shining Resonance Refrain is a largely unremarkable JRPG. From the characters to the story and the combat, nothing feels new. But dig a little deeper, and it all comes together surprisingly well. Each moment is exciting, engaging, and just plain fun, making this an easy recommendation. If you're looking for something familiar, yet new, don't refrain from Shining Resonance Refrain. Okay, that was Shining Resonance Refrain. If you liked the video, hit like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want another game that you haven't played, check out my video right here. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.